What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It's the one and only JP to the feeling real good, y'all. Just like double checking, making sure everything is the way that it's supposed to be. I think I'm live and I'm looking good. Sometimes I think I'm live and I'm looking good and you can't hear me. But we in this thing. How y'all feeling, man? I had a crazy day. Shout out to the Stop the Violence tour. I did Stop the Violence tour today, and I also did Flip the Script. I did a live presentation that flipped the script, and I had a pretty good day. Everything went according as planned, and I couldn't be any happier with the way my day went. I just got off the phone with my coach, and we made some plans for the rest of the year, and I'm feeling great, y'all. If you are a small business owner and you want to come to our Saturday meeting, it is completely free. You will not be asked to sign up for anything. There's no upsells at the meeting. We are doing a monthly meetup at Cocoon Detroit. The address is 2785 East Grand Boulevard. If you are not familiar with Cocoon Detroit, it is a co-working space, and it is also where my office is. I'm like the residential business consultant there. So I'm there. I'm at my office 4 or 5 days out the week. If you want to come and get some understanding about your business, I will not talk to you all day for free, but I will give you 20 to 30 minutes of my time so we can discuss your business and how I could help you, or I can send somebody else your way if you want to get some help from somebody else, or if it's something that I really don't do. I don't try to do everything. If it's something that I do offer, I am actually pretty decent at it. Now, today I want to talk about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. And this is not going to go the way you thought it was going to go. I don't have a problem with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant or anything that she says or anything that she does. So if you're looking for any type of drama, this won't be that. But what I want to discuss is the fact that everyone makes a big deal out of the fact that she is not married and she's giving relationship advice. I feel like there is no problem with her giving relationship advice. And the reason that I feel like that is because she has studied psychology. She supposedly is a doctor with a psychology degree. And in studying psychology, there are certain things that she can understand that she doesn't have to be in a relationship to understand. Sometimes we go through things and it does give flesh to the bones of the education, just like entrepreneurship. I was dealing with certain professors who had never been entrepreneurs, and it was weird to me as I progressed along my education. Is I started off at my associate's degree, and one of my main professors was actually a business consultant and a entrepreneur, and had been an entrepreneur for a few decades. So his understanding of business was a little different. The advice he gave me was different, and him being a consultant made a lot of his advice make sense. When you have a person who is not married giving relationship advice, I feel like some things she does not understand. And if she did understand them, then she would be in a relationship. But that does not mean that anything she says is not credible, because education is still very important. If you were just a business owner and you were not educated, you don't even understand some of the things that you are talking about, or even some of the things that you've done. Before I had an education, I was already running a business, and I understood certain things like capacity and making sure that the ticket sales were available to a certain capacity. I would make a profit. So basically, I always felt like if I could not make a profit at 60% or 70% capacity, I didn't want to have the event, because I never wanted to rely on the event being sold out. So that was my attitude as far as running a business. But there was actually something in business books about that. Once I started reading, I knew I was along the right path, because everything was making sense. I'm like, oh, this is what I do at my shows. This is what I do when I book a show. If I want to book a show, and it was a 500 capacity building, then I would understand that if I could not make a profit at 300 people, then I didn't want to do the show. So I would keep my costs under that number. If it was $20 a head, then I would already know I need to do $6,000 or less in order for me. I need my expenses have to be $6,000 or less in order for me to make this show make sense. If I could not keep my expenses below $600, then I wouldn't throw the show. That was something that I understood. I didn't understand the lingo or what it was actually called until I started getting a business education, but it did not take away from what I was doing. Vice versa. Although Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is not in a relationship, that does not mean she's never been in a relationship. Although she's not married, it does not mean that she has not been in a long term or a serious relationship and has dealt with things that married couples go through. And her having an education in psychology, it gives her a lot of insight into what's going on. What happens a lot of time is when you have a degree like a psychology degree, you have to deal with a certain type of person. And I'm not saying that it's impossible, but for somebody to have a degree like that, it's kind of hard for you to turn it off. So you cannot just say, well, I seen something and I'm gonna put it. No, when you are a psychologist or you are a psychiatrist or you are a person with that type of degree, when you see a spickle or a speck of something, then in your head you have already stuck claim to this and you have already did this, so you are always diagnosing something. Just think, if you are a mechanic, every time you hear something with a car you diagnose it. Bam, sounds like they have this. It's your natural instinct. You don't have to try too hard to do this. If you are a mechanic and you hear a car rumbling past, you say, man, it sounds like they having motor issues, or it sounds like they having muffler issues. If you see somebody on the side of the road and they start their car, but the lights come on and the car don't start, you already say, well, this sounds like a this problem, or this looks like this type of problem. So this is what you have to understand about somebody with a psychology degree. They are going through something that most of us would never understand because we don't have psychology degrees. Think about it. Being a mechanic and having that problem is one thing. Having a psychology degree and having that problem is something else, because you are interacting with people all day and you are always categorizing, categorizing. So Dr. Cheyenne Bryant may not be a bad person. She may not be in a relationship because she's hard to deal with. She may not be in a relationship because of other things. But what you can't do is completely discredit anything she says. I seen a lot of people comment on her last interview and they were talking about, um, oh, she fake, oh, she this, oh, she that. Let me explain something to you. Whether she has a real degree or not, I'm not 100% sure of. Right? I'm not 100% sure of. I've never watched anything. I don't do anything to be messy. So, whether it's from an accredited institution or not, she is claiming to have a psychology degree. So, I'm just going to take her word for it for the sake of arguing. And I'm going to tell you that that could be the reason why she's single or she's not in a long-term relationship or married, because she is always categorizing. And it's probably something she can't help. That's a scary degree to get, because even when people are not doing something, you are finding something similar to compare it to, because it's what you were taught to do for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, however long time you went to school. This is something that you were taught to do. This is something that you researched. You research people having certain characteristics. So when you meet somebody and they're showing certain characteristics, you are already categorizing them. And if they are in a category of people that you do not want to deal with, then you would rather be single than to deal with them in that capacity. So when you talk about somebody like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, and you say, well, she talked good, but she's single. She talked good, but she's not married. You are doing yourself a complete disservice, because even a broke clock is right twice a day. So The fact that she has some type of education, she can give you some nuggets. The same way I learned from business teachers who did not own businesses because they still learned what it takes to run a business. Now, do they have other characteristics that don't allow them to run a successful business? Anybody can run a business, but do they have certain characteristics that won't allow them to run a business? Do they have anxiety? Do they have laziness? Because people teach all day. You could teach someone something and you could never do it because you don't have the concentration to do it. You don't have the willpower to do it. You don't have the consistency to do whatever it is you're trying to teach somebody to do. So you end up giving somebody so much information, but you can't show them anything. You can't show them anything because you don't have the other characteristics to allow yourself to be successful at that. So Dr. Cheyenne Bryant can have all of the relationship information in the world, but she may have certain characteristics that don't allow her to be in a relationship, especially with the caliber of man that she want to be in a relationship with. So now you are discrediting her for other things that are sometimes beyond her control or something that she has yet to work on, and she may even know she need to work on that. Maybe her patience is not where it should be, so she can't deal with a man because he leave the toilet seat up. It's childish. I'm just throwing out something. Maybe she has been single or alone, or she has lived on her own so long she don't want to smell anybody else's poop. Maybe she loved dressing up so much she don't want to share her closet space, but that does not discredit anything else she has to say about being in a relationship. Now, if she was lying about in a relationship, that would be something that discredits her. But she is telling y'all, I am not married, but I am a relationship psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever she claimed to be. And she has this degree in it. And she's given so much information that, and I've watched some of these interviews and I'm telling you, it's some pretty good information. I've never felt like she was acting like a pick me or the opposite where she was shooting at these guys. I felt like she was giving information from a book. She was giving information from the outside looking in, and maybe from the inside looking out, depending on how you look at it. Maybe some of the things that she's learned is the reason that she's single. But I refuse to say that anything she says is completely discredited because she's not married. Now, if it's somebody else and they are married with the same credentials and they can say, hey, I can show you how to make this 25-year relationship work, and they are telling you this is my proof, is that I've been in this relationship for 25 years. Even if that person didn't have a degree, it depends on the type of person you are. If you want to give them the floor and you want to learn from them, that's fine. But you cannot completely discredit someone who says they have a degree in what you're talking about, which is psychology. Psychology degree can go a long way, but you can definitely learn from people who have an education and not the experience of whatever it is they coaching you on. But you can also learn from people who do not have an education, but they have all the years of experience. It just depends on what you're trying to learn. But don't take away from any information that you get just because she's not married. That doesn't mean the information wasn't good information. If the information is something that you can use, I've watched this lady speak and I'm like, dang, that makes sense. That's something I can file for later use. I'm not going to say, wow, that makes sense. But you ain't married. I don't got to listen to that. That's crazy. And a lot of people are using anything to discredit people because they don't want to take advice. And then you get online and you witness the echo chambers effect of people saying a whole bunch of stuff that you kind of had a flash of. And now you're feeling a certain way because it makes you feel like, well, I'm not as bad as what she's talking about. If you are always defensive, if you are always feeling like, well, I don't got to listen to them because of this. I, in one of the meetings I had today, the one that flipped the script, one of the guys, he was like, Yeah, but you can get killed. I say, listen, man, I don't go certain places because I make a certain amount of money and I have responsibilities that include my family. And I would never put myself in a position to where I'm not going to come home that night. So you won't find me at a hood basement backyard party where there's no security, people coming in with guns and doing certain things. You won't never have to worry about catching me there because I have too much to lose. And I explained to him, I said, dude, I never want to go back to jail and be, hey, jackpot doing business classes at the, like you tripping. I never want to be that person. There was some decent dudes doing some business classes, but I would never want to run business classes in a prison institution because I have an MBA. I didn't go to school for that. So I don't put myself in certain positions. Even when I was single, I would not spend nights at women's houses because I don't know what she got going on. We've seen people like Trouble or Mo3 or different people like that. They dealing with a woman. The dude is mad. He watching different things going on. I never wanted to put myself in that type of position. So I always went home. And that's how I feel about being in certain positions. I'm never gonna go to some basement backyard party. I don't care if it's my brother party. I don't have no reason being there where anything could pop off and my life is at risk. That's the attitude you got to have. But this person said, well, you can walk outside right now and get hit by a car. This could happen. That could happen. And the analogy I gave him, I said, yeah, this building can cave in right now. The ceiling can cave in. Everything could just collapse on me. I said, but the difference is I wouldn't walk into a building where everything is already collapsing. But if you got his attitude, then you are always going to find some reason to combat the information, even if it makes sense. In my personal experience, I've learned that if you're dealing with somebody and they are already on red, meaning you cannot get into whatever their mindset is, you cannot change anything about how they feel about something, you can't change anything about how they think about something. They are already locked into whatever mindset they have. You gotta let them have it. So if people are watching Dr. Cheyenne Bryant and you watch an hour worth of information and you feel like you didn't learn anything in that hour, you a fool because even a broke clock right twice a day. I'm telling you, if you watch the lady for 30, 40 minutes, you'll find something. I guarantee you, you'll find some kind of jewel if you listen to that lady for 30, 40 minutes. So when I see people hating, and it's not all men, it's ladies, whatever. What happens with the women and online is as fast as they hear information about something and it doesn't fit whatever they wanted to do, they are completely discrediting the person. And some of these men acting like women. Some of these men are acting like women. They're defensive like women. They're pointing fingers like women. They want to argue like women. They do a bunch of stuff that's what women do. They do that. So when you're watching some of these men and Dr. Cheyenne is talking about certain things and then they respond in a certain defensive type of way, that's kind of like feminine to me. Real men don't mind being held accountable. I don't mind being held accountable. I don't mind somebody saying something to me. Hey, JP, you this, you that. I don't mind that. I don't want to debate with you. If it's something that we could build on, I don't mind having a conversation about it. But I don't want to debate with you. I don't feel like you holding me accountable is something wrong. I feel like you holding me accountable is to help me, or I wouldn't be around you to allow you to hold me accountable. That's the difference. That's the difference. It's certain characteristics that are of women that's a feminine characteristic to me. Just like there are certain women who act masculine to me because a woman to me is soft. A woman to me is delicate. But if I'm around and a woman is acting all masculine and aggressive, then I'm like, this, you acting like a dude. You acting like a dude. If I'm around a man and he's complaining, if I'm around a man and he's man da, 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 all day and bitching and moaning all day, then to me that man is acting like a woman or a female. He has feminine characteristics. He has feminine characteristics. So when you see certain people and they respond in such an aggressive way to women, certain men respond to women with so much aggression, you can tell they hate their mama. You can tell they hate their sister. And some of that could be from something that they've seen. Most men with trust issues, it developed from their mom. Whether their mom was in the house or out the house, whether their mom was bringing men in and out the house, most men with trust issues develop those trust issues as youngsters, seeing their mom or somebody close. It could be an older sister or an older cousin or aunt. It just watching somebody do something that you felt like, never let that happen to me. I'm never going out like that. I don't trust none of them. I'm never going out like that. Now you look up and you don't even realize you 40 something with trust issues. So these are the type of things that I feel like most people don't even want to address. I don't even have a psychology degree, y'all. I got an MBA. I got a degree in business and entrepreneurship. But I'm telling you that you have to learn some psychology to even sell something. You have to. So when people say, well, she talk good, especially if it's a man, I think that that's feminine. So for you to say, well, she talk good, and you to discredit the fact that she's saying something of value, she's actually giving you value in conversation, but you're discrediting that because you don't want to take accountability. Not taking accountability is another feminine trait to me. I don't care what it feels like to you. To me, that's a feminine trait. For you to everything, all of those words that they scapegoats, all of those words, they were gaslighting me. That's a scapegoat word. That's a woman scapegoat word. You're gaslighting me. That's something that women say to not take accountability. Same thing with narcissists. They call people narcissists. You're a narcissist. That's another way to not take responsibility. It's probably 10 other of these words. But that gaslighting word, narcissist, all of this, oh, you're controlling. That's another way to not take accountability. Gaslighting, narcissist, controlling, you're not my daddy. All of this stuff they are just phrases for women to not take accountability. So when I see men who don't take accountability, I think that that's a feminine trait. And I think that you are a pretty feminine man for you not to take accountability, for you to do anything that relates to gaslighting, narcissist, controlling. You think you my daddy, you not my dad. For all of that stuff that women say. All of that stuff that women say, as a man, you shouldn't say things like that and you shouldn't have that attitude. A man takes accountability. When I say accountability, I mean full accountability. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's full accountability. My bad. Now that don't mean that you own stuff that's not your stuff to own, but it does mean if it is something that you have to own, you take full accountability and you claim that. You claim that. So when you watch women like her and different other women online and they say something and it rubs you the wrong way, it may be because you are not being completely honest with your femininity. Nothing that woman say could rub me wrong. If the shoe fit, I don't mind wearing it. If it don't fit, I'm pushing it to the side. That's it. That's what a man is going to do. So you can't knock this lady for having an opinion. And you don't have to agree with 100% of the things that she says. But you cannot say that she has not said some pretty valuable things. And that's all you have to do is take those jewels and add them to your jewelry box. That's all you got to do. Take the jewels, add them to your jewelry box. Anything else, you're not forced to sign anything, or you're not forced to be in contract or cahoots with her. Anything else you don't have to accept. You can throw it out the window. But don't let little stuff like her not being married, which could be big stuff to you, but don't let that deter you from getting some real game. That's the way I feel about it. That's all I wanted to say. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. That's all I wanted to say, man. Just don't let that mess you up, y'all. The same way if you meet a barber and the barber don't have a barber license, but they cold blooded with everything. Yeah, the barber license, cool. It'll let you know. But I've seen some guys that don't have it and don't need it. They cold blooded at what they do. So you have to take the advice for what it is, and that's